Brodes Media.
An extremely disappointing finish to the series against Miami. They did win 2 out of 3, but it wasn't really ever about them taking the series. That should have been a known. If they did it, then we had a bigger problem. It would have been lovely to see a sweep, considering Saturday through 8 innings, you thought this team was set up for a cakewalk. Zach Wheeler, Friday night, 7 innings pitched, 13 Ks, nobody walked. A really strong bounce back for him. You put together 18 hits. Trey had 4, Rojas had 3, Stott had 3, had 3 RBI, had a couple of web gems defensively. So you were just rolling until the 9th. And when that 9th inning went from 11-4 to 11-10, and I had to watch Jose Alvarado get up in the pen to start warming up, forget about actually having to get into the game. Forget about even having to be used in the game when you were up 11-4 to a garbage, really bad Miami Marlins team. Once I saw him warm up, my blood started to boil. But that shit can't happen. And I've probably been one of only maybe 5 people in this town that was willing to give Romano a chance after the first few outings because I didn't see his velocity where it needed to be. And then eventually when I did, he looked like a completely different pitcher and someone who was reliable. So I was right to a degree. But then Saturday happened and I'm out. That's something that gets someone DFA'd. That's something that gets someone to lose their job. That's disgusting. You piss me off. You're not facing Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Tommy Edman. The list goes on and on. The Marlins are going to lose over 90 games this season. They stink. They're hot garbage. Johan Rojas looks like the best center fielder to ever exist offensively when you see this team. That's just who they are. They're a bunch of nobodies. Offensively, defensively, pitching-wise. Except for Sandy, although Sandy, coming off of that Tommy John injury, sure looked like somebody who was a shell of himself as he was throwing balls to the backstop on Friday. Alcantara did not look like the pure Sandy that we know. But they stink. And it just shines light on the truth, which is they don't have a competent bullpen. They have a very thin bullpen. And this is going to snowball into Queens, which is then going to snowball into Wrigley Field. And this is a big week for me. I've been very on the record saying that these 6 games that we are about to witness has the opportunity to swing me a little bit into positive momentum. Now, what I need to see is not 4-2. It's 5-1 or 6-0. 4-2, then they are who I kind of think they are. 5-1, I'd say, well, that's impressive. 6-0, I'd say that's really impressive. Knowing that they have their struggles with the pen, knowing Jose Alvarado has to be used every single day, and he's the only one that can do anything. And that's not going to last forever, by the way, because the more and more you put wear and tear on that arm, the more damage that's going to be done, and eventually you can't sustain this. It's just the truth. So the Joe Rosses, the Carlos Hernandezes, the Orion Kirkerings, who for some reason he's been talked about as such a reliable bullpen arm. I've never seen that. I do not buy that. Maybe one day he can keep growing, but he's nowhere even close to what people say that he is. I don't get it. He's getting shelled in a big spot. The defense boned Luzardo in that 7th inning. He was cruising, and he only finished with 88, so you can make the argument that Rob Thompson fucked up that decision to begin with to start going to his pen, because you need to save as many innings as humanly possible, and if the defense is screwing you up, it's not really Luzardo's fault. But that's the issue that happens, is now you're forcing him to throw more pitches, and when he throws more pitches, his pitch count rises. If he's sitting at 80 instead of 88, if he's sitting at 78 instead of 88, if he's sitting at 82 instead of 88, things are just looked at differently. And again, I can make the argument that even at 88, what are we doing here, Rob? You know there's not a lot of confidence in this group, but I think that's part of the reason why he does it. I think he makes that decision because he wants to tell Orion Kerkering, hey, I got faith in you. But you know what Orion Kerkering did back? Fuck you. Fuck you. That's what he did back. I suck. I think he tried to get cute as well, Rob Thompson that is, on Saturday. Taijuan Walker getting yanked after 4, the shoulder stiffness thing. While I acknowledge that the Phillies were putting together a lot of runs, and I'm sure those innings felt like they were going on forever, and Taijuan Walker is sitting back in the dugout waiting for his time to take the bump again, but I think they just did that so precautionary that they thought they'd be good. And they did win the game, so they were technically good, but they didn't realize how much that was going to diminish this pen. And if you allow Taijuan to go 5, if you allow Taijuan to go 6, if you allow Taijuan to get a couple more innings, then you don't have to have the same amount of bullpen arms used in that game. And it can push everything completely different to today, which pushes things back to Queens, which is a big series against the Mets. With my guy Nose on the bump, sometimes is a little shaky, sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. You got lucky that you even had a chance in extra innings to win this game on Sunday afternoon on Easter. Because when Cal Stevenson puts one to the right side, a couple bobbles, throw over to first, you tie the game up. I mean, this Marlins team's a disaster. So a sweep, it wouldn't have changed really about how I feel about this team. Nothing will until we get to October, or unless they do something really magnificent. I take that back, because I did allude to me maybe feeling a little bit more optimism if they have a nice week, but I guess feeling more optimism is a lot different than truly believing in this team. Nothing's going to really make me truly believe until I actually see the execution in the postseason, which I can't fast forward to that, so I can just hold on to hopefully over time they get marginal victories throughout 6 games, throughout 10 games, throughout a nice sample size against good opponents that I can hold some faith into. I mean, that's sort of what I need to try and do. So then by the time October rolls around, then I'm in a better headspace. But I don't think that's going to happen until they fix these problems. We can say best starting staff in all of baseball all we want, and there's truth to really loving what Sanchez can do with that filthy changeup, what Luzardo can do with his repertoire, adding pitches. He's sick. He's sick. And we know what Wheels is, and that's all great and dandy. But if you don't have someone you can go to in the 7th, in the 8th, in the 9th, Joe Ross, Carlos Hernandez, these guys, their ERAs are through the roof. Through the damn roof. And as much as I personally have been sort of taking a step back on the whole Jeff Hoffman debate, only because I know he did not pass physicals in this offseason, and he did not have a good postseason. He did not have a good postseason. And neither did Matt Strahm. So I don't know if that's because there was an injury, which related to the noise about his not passing physicals in the offseason, or if the lights were just too bright for him and some guys don't have the stones to make it work. I don't know what it is. That's my feel on it. And I'm not shy when it comes to that opinion. But the truth is, Romano's ERA is like fucking 15 times higher than Jeff Hoffman's. And that's not even a joke. It's about 15 times higher than Jeff Hoffman's. No matter what went down this offseason, or how I feel about the decision, or whatever it is. Yo, Dave. 15 times. It's not like Jeff Hoffman has a 1.68 ERA and Romano has a 2.78 or a 3.18 or hell, a 3.96. It's gotten to the point where if most people have the outing that he had in the ninth, with the velocity where it was, you don't have a job anymore. If his name wasn't Jordan Romano, and if it wasn't known that he was supposed to be a back-end depth, serious 8th inning, 9th inning closer type role to fill the void for what was here last season, and he was just a guy with a random name, you'll never hear that guy's name ever again.